Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh bidvaro. You know that the source of my talks, my thinking, as a matter of fact, usually is the Bible. Some story in the Bible. But I don't just stay with the story in the Bible. I usually try to apply it to other circumstances in our lives as well. I go back to the story of Joseph and his brothers. You know, his brothers were jealous of him, and they had reason to be jealous, and I'm not going to go into that. And it says that his father told him, you know, go see how your brothers are doing, because they had gone far away looking for pasture for their cattle. And it says in the Bible that eventually he finds them, and when the brothers saw him from afar, immediately they started plotting. Their hate was such, their envy was such, that they immediately, their first reaction was not, he is our brother, let's embrace him. No, what are we going to do? How are we going to avenge whatever injuries he has caused us in the past? Well, I want to say to you that many a time we judge things from afar. We don't come close to them. I know there are many people, for instance, that are very critical of the state of Israel. They're critical of how they treat the Arab population. Some even call them an apartheid state. You know, apartheid is a tremendous word. This is what was happening in South Africa, where you had total segregation between Africans, between the blacks and the Afrikaans, who were Dutch ascendancy. And there were laws that forbade the mixture of the two. I remember in the South. I remember when I came to the United States in 1947. In the South of the United States, colored people, called then Negroes, a word that you cannot use today, black people, sat in the back of the bus. That was the law there. But all that has changed. What I'm trying to say is that those people that say that Israel is an apartheid state, have they been to Israel? Maybe some have. I can't generalize. But I imagine that the majority has not been to Israel. You go to Israel, travel to Israel, take a look how society works. Take a look at the fact that I think over 50% of the physicians today in hospitals are really Arabs, Palestinian Arabs, not Jewish Israelis. Palestinians, many of them are doctors because they have every opportunity to go to school. There are judges who are Arabs. Right now, even the government of Israel has part of the coalition that rules the country are Arab members of the Knesset. So how can you say it's I think it's the fact that we look at things from far away. You know, some people who are anti-black, have they ever come close to a black person? Have they spoken to him? Not only spoken, been to their home, had some kind of interaction with them? I think that many of our hates of the fact that we don't appreciate other people is that we look at them from afar. We see them from a distance. And from a distance, you can only see certain characteristics. You can only see the color of his skin, basically. But you cannot see his features, really. You can't listen to him. You can't know what is really in his soul. You know, Jacob is in his deathbed, the Torah says, and he says to his children, "Hi kafzu, come closer to me." You know, if you want to know somebody, you have to have this person come closer to you. I think that one of the greatest programs that the Jewish community instituted is called Birthright Israel, where you give the opportunity to many young Jewish people to go to Israel and to see Israel. Forget about reading about it. Forget about movies. Go and live there for a while. Be there for a month. Interact with their people. Then you will know what Israel really is. Many a time, the owner of the business does not appreciate really what these workers are doing for him. If he would come closer to his employees, maybe he would have an altogether different appreciation of what they do. I think many of the ailments in our society are the result of the fact that we don't come closer to other people. We look at them from afar, we only see certain general characteristics, but we don't really hear the beating of their hearts. We don't really penetrate their minds in order to know what the other person really is. If we come closer to another human being, we certainly will appreciate him much more.